From the Middle is a proud founding member of Odd Pods Media. Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning into episode 203 of From the Middle. We are three middle-class guys living in the middle of America in the middle chapters of our lives with a point of view that's somewhere in the middle. Our show, much in the vein of Seinfeld, likes to delve into all kinds of meaningless topics. We are a show about nothing. And in this week's Nothingness, we talk about Dillon going to Tampa and scaring the shit out of Brian Hartline. And we have all kinds of thoughts about the service industry. Enjoy.
Oh, for the love.
Sorry, just clearing my Mountain Dew hole.
I got my phone hole cleaned today.
That's where you keep it? You're so cerebral and you're so developed and evolved.
From the Middle after dark over here.
Guess who's back? Back again. Dilly's back.
Yeah.
Tell a friend. Welcome home, bro.
Yeah.
Made it. And thankfully, for my little heart, I didn't have to sprint through an airport this time.
Oh,
Whew.
worried about you.
Direct flights are where it's at.
That's the wrong kind of exercise for my ticker, I tell you what. Whew.
Did you have a good trip? Was it too hot in Florida? Kendall's favorite place?
You know, I have to say, I was expecting it because you think Tampa or Florida in May, really any time from like May to August, September, you're thinking this could be a, yeah. And it was beautiful. It was like, there were two main days that I was out working there for work. One day the high was 79. The other day it was 81. Like no humidity, lots of breeze. The most disappointing thing was part of my job is dropping by my clients' offices. And for whatever reason, our hotel didn't have breakfast. And I heard it wasn't that great anyway. So I Googled the first client's office I was going to drop by. And right by their office was this bakery or like this baked good breakfast cafe, something. And it wasn't a chain. It was like Sally's Breakfast Cafe or something. And it was so prominent on the map. I thought, oh, this must be a really popular thing. My Apple Maps knows what time of the day it is. And man, what bitter disappointment when I show up to an empty parking lot, like minutes from the client's office. And I settled for McDonald's on the way, which is fine. McDonald's breakfast is fine. McDonald's breakfast is fine. I'm not going to crap on it. But when you're working and you're excited because I have my company card that I could go get a really nice breakfast, that's when you really don't want a McDonald's breakfast. When you're paying for your own breakfast, great. Hash browns, bacon, egg, and cheese biscuit. You like the wraps or whatever. But yeah, the last time you want McDonald's breakfast is when you've got a company card to go get yourself some food. So it was great. The weather was beautiful. I had a nice time. It was very whirlwindish as those kind of work trips kind of go. But the beautiful weather made it really nice to be bouncing in and out of offices all day. So it was nice. It was very good.
You had one meal. You posted a picture of this like beautiful view of the water and like the sunset.
Tampa Bay. Yeah.
I mean,
the Tampa Bay. Way off in the distance is like Clearwater and St. Pete. And we went to this little ocean cafe, whatever. And they're like, do you want to sit out on the patio? They took us to the furthest point of the patio at the table that faced the water and literally the setting sun. And so we're just sitting on the patio and I got like some kind of seafood sampler, just sitting there enjoying, the food and the view. And it was so beautiful too. You could have just sat there for the rest of the day.
That's really kind of them. Like they have a spot right there at the very end, at the very tip where like you have a view that is so good that it you don't even think about the fact that they put you there to hide you from the rest of the clientele.
Yeah. That's right. And I even I'm trying to be sensitive to everyone around me. I kept kind of looking to make sure they had several other tables open, that we weren't like just grazing at this one table for a long time. And it was fine. There was always enough other tables open that I didn't feel bad sitting there. And then we had dinner another night at this rooftop. I don't know how many stories, 20-story building, something like that, maybe. And there was a bar restaurant at the top on the roof with 180-degree views with like the glass walls that you could just very, very nice views of the water and sunsets. It was lovely. I just wish I had more time to stay. I'm becoming a Tampa person, maybe. I don't know.
Oh boy.
Kendall will never visit. Don't worry about that.
If you want to avoid me.
Yeah. Go talk about recording virtually.
Go to South Carolina and South.
Yeah,
I'm not interested.
I get it.
Around through Louisiana, and then that portion of Texas, and then once you start getting into Central Texas, I might be there.
So Dillon, it's safe to drop the line of, "Hey, if you're ever in town, feel free, stop by."
Yeah, I'll keep that in mind.
No, thank you.
I did have a question that came out of. There were several instances where I was an idiot, and people had to point out that I was an idiot, and it makes me wonder how do you feel about trying to help point something out to somebody when you know it's going to make them feel like an idiot? Like, do you just do it because you know they need help, or do you not want to do it because you don't want to make them feel like an idiot? And a couple examples, one of which, leaving the Tampa airport to go from like their main hub out to the different gates, there's a little tram. So you've got to like swipe your airline pass to get on the tram to get out to the gate. And not really thinking, I've been there twice now at this airport. Every airport's different. I hold my QR code on my phone. I hold it up to what I think is the camera, and it is the camera, but it's a camera for my face, and the scanner for the QR code is down, like near my waist on this little, it's like this. As soon as it scans it, it's like, and then you walk through, it's like getting out of the AMC theater. And so I'm just sitting there, just holding it up to the camera for my face, thinking, I'm like, I don't turn the brightness up. And eventually the guy behind me is like, "Hey guy, you gotta hold it down." And then, and then you sort of do the deeper voice in response to like hide your identity. "Oh yeah, thanks. Yeah. Appreciate it." Every airport's different. I shouldn't feel stupid, but you feel stupid because you're holding everything up. I'm there. Everyone else is there for 3 seconds. And I'm sitting there for about 15 seconds, 20 seconds goes by.
You didn't notice the people in front of you?
No, because you're just trying to like keep your luggage and get your thing. Yeah. And so I wasn't really like, as I was walking up, I'm pulling it up on my phone and getting the brightness and QR code to where I think it's readable. And so, no, I'm not like super paying attention. And it's not like the high point where I was and the low point are like 6 feet away. It's like a 1.5 foot difference.
And in your defense, that's gotten me a few times at like customs, because it's the same thing. It's like they take a picture of your face, so your feet have to be in a certain place, and then the camera auto adjusts its height to find the center of your face, and then down where you're describing the barcode thing is where you have to scan your passport. So with all the cameras and motion activated things, and passport has to be facing the other way on the photo side, not backwards, correct barcode showing. It's a lot. I get it.
Okay. There's a part of me. I appreciate the guy saying something. At the same time, you wish you didn't need the help. And I don't know.
Somebody needed to tell you.
Somebody needed. I think I would have figured it out eventually. I think I would have stepped back and reassessed the whole apparatus to like look for directions again or reread.
Can you accurately replay his delivery one more time? I'm interested in the tone he used to tell you.
It was very brief. I think to his credit, if you're going to correct someone, you need to keep it brief so it doesn't sound like a lecture. It was a bit of like a, hey, bro, you scan it down here. kind of like that. It was very, and then
sounds kind.
I use my deep phony voice so he won't ID me later because he'll care. Oh yeah, thanks, man. Yeah. And
so there, I just picked up a tinge of condescending in his delivery.
Maybe a little,
just a little. Hey, bro, it's down here.
Yeah, maybe a little.
It was kind. It could have been worse, but there's just a hint in how you delivered his delivery.
Yeah, there could have been like a jack wagon in there somewhere or something,
Hey, jack wagon.
Yeah. So the other instance of this, and this is not on me, and I don't like that this situation happened. I'm visiting a bunch of clients. I get a box, a medium size. This is relevant. A medium-sized box of swag shipped directly to the hotel. Okay. So when I go see my clients, I can hand out some logoed swag everywhere that I go. By the end of the trip, all that's left in this medium-sized box. So not a shoe box. Not like a box the refrigerator would come in.
Microwave?
Yeah, maybe like a microwave, maybe around there. All that's left is that in the trunk of the rental car with a bunch of like plastic bags and wrappers and stuff that's all trash. Okay. So not wanting to leave it in the rental car for my coworker. The last day I take this in, my thinking is I'm going to take this in so it's not the rental car company's issue or my coworker's issue into the lobby. It's late. They shouldn't be busy. They've probably got a backdoor exit near the office or some trash bin or something they can throw this in. I'm just going to ask them what they have. So I carry the box into the lobby, very near the front doors again. It's not busy. So I walk up to the closest person at the front desk. And this is a nice hotel. It's not like a nice 5-star hotel, but it's far from the bottom of the barrel hotels. And I say, hey, I've got this box of trash. I didn't know if there was like, a good place to put it. Kind of implying, do you have a place you can take this and dispose of it with the rest of your hotel trash? But I'm waiting for his response because maybe he says, oh, there actually is a dumpster, out the front door, go 10 feet. Maybe that's going to be his response. I don't know. Mm-hmm. And he just sort of pauses and looks at me. There was at least a second pause. It was an unnaturally long pause for my question. And he just looks at me and then he points where I had just walked in past the doors. He goes, there's a trash can right there. And now, so he's filled me in with the dumb answer. And now I'm annoyed because I'm thinking, this is the nice gold metal trash can that comes up and curves around.
Yeah,
with a small opening, and I'm holding
a big box
with a bunch of plastic trash. Which,
if we were Pete and Sebastian, and we were talking about how service has gone downhill these days, the correct response would have been, "Let me take that for you, sir."
Right. Because I'm thinking, I bet if I were the kind of person that would do this, which I wouldn't, I'd be like, "No, you follow me." And I walk behind their little desk and around the corner of their little break room. And I bet you there's a big plastic trash can 5 feet away from where he's standing that would be more appropriate for the size of the box and the amount of plastic trash that I have. But no, I've been directed towards the gold metal bin at the front of the hotel where everyone is walking in. And I said, in response, trying to be very polite, "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't think you would want me to use like a normal trash can since it's cardboard and a bunch of plastic." Thinking, surely now he'll pick up the cue of what I'm saying, that this is not appropriate trash for that kind of trash can. And he goes, "Well, it should be fine." Back at me. So now,
this guy.
Now I'm annoyed. So now I walk about 6 feet back towards the door, towards the really nice gold trash can that curves in with the small opening in the box.
You're talking about the skinny cylindrical 18-inch.
I mean, it's not the one that comes up to your ankle. It comes up to your waist, but like it's not a big.
No, I mean it's like 18 inches in diameter.
Oh, yeah.
Like
Yeah, like the nice ones, the metal ones that,
yeah,
you know, yes, like that. Like normally you would just throw a coffee cup in it. Like that's the kind of trash can that it is. So I walk back to the trash can and turn around and look at him as I'm now ripping the box apart and shredding it into pieces because he's instructed me, and there's tape on it and I'm ripping all the tape off.
I just like that you're looking at him expressionless.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of like looking back at him.
Look at what you made me do.
This is what we've come to. And I'm ripping the tape off to where it's like in the middle of the lobby. And I'm like, sorry, it just wouldn't fit. And just kind of shoving the box down and all the plastic into the thing. And so after what I thought was an unnecessary incident, I just gave him a quick thank you and proceeded on to the elevators. But I thought he did the thing of making me feel kind of dumb with the trash can thing. But that didn't feel like the appropriate. How are you in a service position and that's your response to that? Again, this isn't. He had an opportunity to go, oh, let me take that for you. Or, oh, there's a dumpster outside. You know, if you go out to the right or to the left, you know, we can get rid of that.
The first response is, let me take care of that for you. Whether he throws it away at that moment or not, he makes your problem his problem and he'll figure it out later.
He just takes it and then it's done.
It's done. And then you go up to your room.
Right. And
maybe acceptable response is, there's a dumpster out back.
Yeah, and I'm thinking this not a Motel 8. It won't say the name, but it rhymes with Shmilton. Okay, so like it's not exactly.
Okay,
you know, it's not exactly that I'm like at a super Motel 8 or a Econo Lodge or something like that you might not even expect there to be a human at the front desk.
Yeah, no,
it's like a sign and a bucket for your key cards. And so, anyways, again, said the thing to make me feel like an idiot, but I had to like push back a little bit and stare at him as I at least ripped the part and the tape and all the stuff into pieces and threw it in the trash can.
I sometimes get frustrated by those situations when you feel like, and I'll use feel like because maybe your intentions are not read by the other party. You feel like you're trying to go the extra mile and be extra nice. And do the thing that most people would just throw it wherever, leave it in their room, make it somebody else's problem. You're at least saying, hey, I recognize that this is bulkier than your average trash and I want to dispose of it properly. Can you help me help you do that? And so I get frustrated when I feel like you're not at least met halfway by the person who should care most. That you are trying to go the extra way and sort of I don't want to say do their job for them, but like you're trying to be the non-typical customer.
Yeah. And to give you an idea, in this lobby of this hotel while I'm there, they had an international like intelligence community military convention thing going on. They had a new bowl, the college football bowl game meeting that they were having with the Big Ten, the ACC, and the SEC called the ReliaQuest Bowl. That's going to be in Tampa. So like these are the kind of meetings happening and the people coming and going out of the lobby. This isn't like, you know, your local MLM is meeting in the back room, you know, with 20 people. Like these are like big international like military people are coming in for this. And I'm shredding a box in the middle of the lobby because this dude won't just take it over the counter and set it behind.
Yeah. I mean, you should have, what I would have done is like taken the lid of the trash can or the metal part of the trash can, take that off.
Yeah.
Take the box, flip it upside down and just set it on top and then put the lid back on top of the box.
Yeah.
And then walked away.
I love ideas like that. Or I should have just walked over and stared at him and then just dropped it on the floor right beside it and then just walked away. Let the plastic like
honestly
out of the bag.
Yeah. That might have been better because like I was trying to think of like in that situation, if I were prepared, because Corey and I talked about this last week, I would have had a speech ready to go before I even talked to the guy.
Yeah.
And my speech would have mentioned the fact that I've been in the shoes of somebody who had a gas station, had to empty public trash cans out by the gas pumps all the time. And when it came to that job, nothing pissed me off more than when somebody would have like 2 boxes and they would like put them into an otherwise empty trash bin.
Right.
And now the trash bin's full.
Right. Because of that.
And so like I would have been like, hey, I used to empty public trash cans, and I like, this is going to piss your janitor off, if like your custodian off, if I put this in there. Is there someplace else I can put it?
How much do I care? I feel like I've already cared as much as I'm supposed to care. I'm not a shareholder in Shmilton hotels. I like what? How far is this supposed to go? I don't know. I maybe I should have put the box on the ground, picked up the trash can, set it inside the box, and then the whole trash inside the box. I don't know. I'm at a loss. Speaking of the ReliaQuest Bowl, we were having lunch near the hotel, and me and a colleague are chatting about college football, and he's from Georgia, and obviously I'm an Ohio State fan and alumni, and it was such a nice conversation. I thought how pleasant it was to be sitting and talking about college football. And I kid you not, I look across the bar and there's Brian Hartline sitting at the other corner of the bar. And I'm like, no, it can't be Brian Hartline. And then I'm like, oh, but the ReliaQuest thing is here, or maybe he's recruiting or something. That actually really could be Brian Hartline. And so we keep chatting, and he's, as the sort of light changes as we're sitting there for a while, it really is Brian Hartline. He's actually pretty unmistakable the more I think about it as I'm sitting there. And I'm pretty sure, are you pulling him up? Yeah. I mean, I went to Ohio State while Brian Hartline was still in college. So like, he's my age. Of course, he looks like a real man, like Nate Weber, and I'm like a man child. But I think I ended up scaring the shit out of him because he got up to go to the bathroom, and I went, "Hey, Brian," and he turned and he said, "Hey," and he waved, and then I sat there and I'm like, as I know he was going to the bathroom because I'd already been there, and then I'm thinking after a while, it's been a really long time since Brian left for the bathroom, and I had wanted to go back over and say, "Hey, I'm sorry if I startled you. I'm alumni. I was at Ohio State the same time you were. Love what you're doing for the offense. Just wanted to say hi." And it was a very long time. So either I scared him into the bathroom urban style because he was afraid that somebody was taking a picture, like a video in a club or something. Or maybe he like ducked out the window of the bathroom to go find somewhere else to eat or something. But it was great to see him, and I got a wave, and he waved back and said hi before he disappeared. So if you're out there, Brian, I hope you're okay. And I hope the ReliaQuest Bowl and or recruiting went well while you were.
If nobody has seen Brian for a while, check the bathrooms.
Check the Shmilton Hotel, any restaurants in that area, in the Tampa area.
Yeah.
Kendall and I did talk about rehearsing what you say typically when you're going to get get service done or something, and how we as overthinkers with anxiety like practice how we say these things. So to tie that thread with the thread that you just made about seeing somebody who is, I guess you could call him a celebrity, a known person, especially with people who have a lot of content out there that you have consumed, you feel like you know them.
Right.
So I've even heard comedians say people come up to me and talk to me like they know me because they feel like they do, but they're speaking with such familiarity that they forget that I don't know them at all. And so sometimes they wish that those people would just lead with, "I'm just a fan," or whatever. Like the first name thing sometimes doesn't work when you're saying hey to a celebrity at an airport, because they think, "Oh, do I know you beyond what I do for my full-time job?" And so then you say, "Just a fan of your work," or whatever.
Yeah, I did that. Mm-hmm. Yep, I did that. Well, what I also realized is because I was in school with him at the same time, him and AJ Hawk, they were on campus when I was on campus. And so even though they look like actual grown men, like with Nate Weber, in my head, they're not peers in the sense that they're celebrities and they're doing what they're doing, but they're peers in the sense that I still have this idea that like we're on campus at the same time because we're the same age. And there's something about that that's like still in my head. I wouldn't feel that way about a 20-year-old Buckeye. If I ran into, whoever, somebody that was well ahead of me in school. But because I literally remember seeing these guys on campus, in a way it was, that's I think what jumped out first. And so I'm really sorry if I scared you, Brian. Hopefully you ended up enjoying your lunch.
But you remember, it's me, Dillon, from school.
Yeah.
The Ohio State University.
Yeah, if 60,000. That's why I was like, when he comes back out, I need to go back over and go, hey man, sorry, I didn't mean to startle you. I went to school around the same years, just saying, hey.
But
just
moved on. Yeah.
I always joke that I remember very well walking behind AJ Hawk a few times on campus, and literally built like the 90s Batman cartoon. Like his upper body was that upside down triangle that just like super crazy broad shoulders comes down to like a point, and that's his waist. And then he'd have one of those tiny little strap bags, like the drawstring bag, on his back, and it was like a stone on a concrete driveway. Like this backpack was just this tiny little thing that he was carrying around. It was so good. So anyways, very funny, fun time. It was a great time. It's cool to see Brian Hartline, cool to see them doing the ReliaQuest Bowl thing, and beautiful weather. I was very spoiled.
I would have been at the bar just practicing how I'm going to approach him for 15 minutes, so long that he probably would have left and I would have missed the opportunity.
We were there for a while. Like it wasn't like 5 or 6 minutes that we sat and waited. I really hope he's okay and not still in that bathroom, because it was a long time. Maybe he bumped into somebody else he knew on the way back there. Maybe he decided to leave or he had to get going. I'm not sure.
I made the last minute decision to purchase a ticket to see the Bad Friends podcast tour up at a casino near Cleveland, and it's at the end of June. So I'm going to get to meet. I paid extra for a VIP meet and greet with Bobby Lee and Andrew Santino. I'm already thinking about what I'm going to say in the very short window I have in the time that they gesture me forward, because there will be a line of people. I'll walk up, get an autographed print, get a photo, and leave. So I'm already like rehearsing.
I have 5 seconds to say words.
And I want to be different from the rest. I want to be somewhat memorable and not get tackled by security. So like whatever's in the middle of all those things, I got to triangulate the perfect 2 or 3 sentence spiel. So I'm open to ideas and suggestions, but I'm already, I get it. I'm already thinking about it.
My podcast is better than yours.
That's what I was thinking. It's a great mind.
Something along those lines.
Yeah.
I think would.
And the only thing that would make yours better is if you guessed on ours. Something like that.
Yeah. Something.
Anyway.
Something like that. I feel like if you want more opportunity, you have to say something that's going to garner them to ask you something.
Well, then, so I thought about, do I do some fan art, or is that creepy? Do I have a little gift for them?
Well, it depends on what you draw.
A caricature of them or something cool. Just some cool fan art.
Can you do Michelangelo's David, but they're both nude babies, and the kind of art that I want you to use is very specific. I want you to do the movie Hercules, when Hercules is a baby and he's got the little circles on his knees, and the very chubby, angelic looking, lighthearted, and you need to do both of them like fingers touching in baby, like they just something so absurd, and then give them a yes, and then give them a stickers from our podcast and say, hey, I did this fun fan art for you. Also figured you'd want some stickers from our show. I think you should use that art style.
So that will be them, but instead of Pegasus's head, it'll be the other guy.
Yeah, totally
awesome.
Yeah,
Great.
I think that's yes. So sort of like the one off to the left, the YouTube thumbnail, but like do their fingers are the little hoof is touching the little finger. I think that's your sweet spot.
Got
Right?
it. Got it.
Yeah,
All right,
Dude.
cool. Sounds good. Thanks for the assist.
you're welcome.
All right, we'll be right back after we hear some words from some of our friends in Odd Pods Media.
Hey, I'm Pantsless Aaron.
This is Stevie.
And I'm Augie.
And we are BFYTW, a podcast all about playing games and having fun. Our games are usually based on British panel shows and game shows, but we'll play anything that captures our attention and imagination. Why? It's right there in the title.
You'll never guess what the F stands for.
All right, we're back. So Dillon was talking before the break about the service industry as it related to a certain hotel in Tampa, Florida. I think that all of the service industry in Tampa, Florida is just worn out and sweaty, and they just need a break, is my guess.
Yeah, maybe.
But up here in, the North, in Ohio, the land of the free, we don't have that problem. Not this time of year, anyway. But there's a part of me that thinks to myself that I understand that COVID did a lot of things. People were let go from their jobs. They were given assistance from elsewhere, so they did not need to get jobs back. And therefore, we had this whole time where the service industry was literally competing with the welfare state for a little bit there. But now I feel like that's over. And people are back to work, or at least I'm hoping that most people are back to work. And we still have some of these problems, these service problems. I don't remember having such bad service consistently from restaurants before COVID. And what I'm saying is I understand that had to take a lull, but shouldn't we be over that by now? What happened to all of the old servers, and why aren't they in my restaurants anymore?
Yeah.
Or have our expectations changed? Because just today, even, we had one where it was just that everything was slow. It took forever and things were getting forgotten again. As before. And a couple days ago on Cinco de Mayo, I walked out what I think is for the very first time ever. I walked out of a restaurant and took my family with me, right? I don't think I've ever done that. I'm a very patient guy in these situations, but we had been there for 15 minutes at least, hadn't even gotten a server yet. Like nobody. We were sat. I was sat because I came in. It was Cinco de Mayo. We understood that we weren't in a Mexican restaurant or anything. But like I came in, I asked the hostess, like, hey, before I tell my family to come in here, like, how long is it going to be for a table for 5? And the response was, oh, well, we can seat you right now. That was the response I got. It's like, cool. So I went outside, gave my family the thumbs up, came back inside. She had the menus ready. She sat us at a nice big round top and said, I will be right back with water. Her words. She never came back.
Her words.
She never came back. My family is in the restaurant now with me, and we're sitting there forever. We never got a server. And like it was one of those situations where it was like I understand that it's a holiday where a lot of people eat out, but we're not at a Mexican restaurant. We were able to get a seat right away. I understand you had some call-offs and things today that makes things worse. And so there was a part of me there in that situation that was like, should that be the case? And I'm going to assume that is true, that you had a bunch of people call off and that you were prepared, but now you're not. Still, like it's so even if I'm not pissed off, like I should still feel comfortable with walking out of the restaurant because like forget about getting refills on your drinks. Like it's going to be a bad experience from here on out if it's taking this long for us to even be acknowledged. And so even if it's not anyone's fault that we haven't been acknowledged, it still doesn't make sense for us to stay there, even if there's no ill will.
Do you remember in Do you remember in Christmas Vacation where Cousin Eddie's wife says somewhere something like he's holding out for a management position?
Yes.
So while you've been talking, I did a quick Google search and found this article by the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. And
Okay.
I'm not gonna read the whole thing, but I'll just read the opening couple sentences. The pandemic caused a major disruption in America's labor force, something many have referred to as the Great Resignation. In 22, more than 50 million workers quit their jobs, many of whom were in search of an improved work-life balance and flexibility, increased compensation, and a strong company culture. But a closer look at what has happened to the labor force can better be described as the Great Reshuffle, because hiring rates have outpaced quit rates since September of 2020. So many workers are quitting their jobs, but many are getting rehired elsewhere. I assume that means from where they started pre-pandemic.
Right. Yeah.
The U.S. Chamber of Commerce is capturing the trends on job openings, labor force participation, quit rates, and more, blah, blah, blah. An in-depth look at how the worker shortage is impacting the nation, blah, 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 is in this article. So I think what that's kind of saying is, and I'm not obviously just skimming it and not reading the entire article, but there's still a shortage. People aren't going back to the places that they were before. There's a whole section in this that talks about work from home, and remote work has totally changed the game. So people are thinking they want to start with jobs that offer that. So those, I don't want to say lower, but those more entry level type jobs people think that they can leverage this time to get one of those cushier jobs with better benefits, work from home, and you're still seeing a shortage in those are industries that we're talking about: food service, hotel front desk staff.
Sure. And it would also probably make sense to say that a much, 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 therefore higher percentage of those who end up taking these jobs, at the very least, don't have the experience of the people that they're replacing.
Right. They're replacing people who went off to go do other things. They didn't have any experience in this before this all started.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's like, Dillon, when you were telling your story, we used to talk about, you can tell the difference between an owner and an employee. An employee typically has very short-term thinking, fix the immediate need. Like, if that were the manager or a Hilton high up, they would have said, "Sir, let me just take that for you. Have a nice night."
Right.
But because it's quote unquote just a kid, and I wanted to play a fun game where I guessed attributes about the kid behind the front desk, but I didn't I thought that would be dangerous, right? Somebody who's got more employee mindset, just an employee mindset, than thinking like the business owner or thinking like an owner. Yeah.
Well, part of the checkmate, and I'm using that word very, very sarcastically. Part of the checkmate that the state of Ohio played was like, fine, you don't want to work for us, we'll go down to 14-year-olds. You're like, I mean, that was one of the like suggestions that they thought, which fine, that does technically add bodies, but like it feels like there's other ways that could have gone. Like, as a company, depending on how big you are, depending on, maybe you start with just better pay first, or maybe you start with better benefits, or maybe you start with other things to get more experienced people to come work for you that won't take a long time to train and get to a place. Anyways, it's interesting because I think there's so much swirling around that. We've talked frequently about the gig economy. There's so many more options now for people, even if they're not making as much money. Like, even if they're not working a full 30 to 40 hours a week, but they feel like they're getting enough from Uber and Lyft and whatever. That's a whole other thing that didn't really exist as much before. And obviously Uber existed before the pandemic, but we've talked a lot about how like all of us went home, and then all of a sudden we're like, oh, now the average American middle class person can order stuff, and this is the thing that we're going to do. And so you have delivery services from a bunch of grocery stores, and you have, all these extra options that it was like a rare thing before. It was like somebody placed a Postmates order through Apple, and now everyone DoorDashes every day. Like tons of people use DoorDash every day. So I don't know if that's part of it, if some of the people are going there. I think some of the conversation around like bad jobs and low paying jobs seem to always get to the point where like proponents of just like, you can't pay a McDonald's worker $24 an hour would say, well, if you don't like your fast food job, then go find a better one. And I think during the pandemic, a lot of people went, okay, fine. I'm going to take this little bit of extra cash that I just got, like Corey was talking about, and I'm going to go find a better this with more benefits or with that, or I think I can find. There's like so many things that feel like they're swirling around that are all tying back to what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Like gig economy options, people trying tons of hiring, which led to a lot of people trying to find better jobs, like a checkmate that we're going to offer.
Well, and there would have been a time there where companies were begging for people to come work for them.
Right.
And so at that point in time, they would have had to just hire anybody who came by.
Right. And so
there was some of that was happening. And we'd heard about that talked about before in the service, like the restaurant service industry. You would have people who were serving at a diner or whatever, and they didn't have the experience to be at like the next level up restaurant. But then all of a sudden that next level up restaurant is desperate. Yeah. So they see their opportunity to make more tips. Mm-hmm. And that kind of shifting was happening.
Yeah.
So maybe that's it. Maybe we're getting like McDonald's drive-through employees now working at the local.
I got a great idea. You know the show Undercover Boss?
Yeah.
Do undercover employee. Take a 16 to 21-year-old kid who just has exceptional people skills and like business owner mentality. Put them undercover and see how fast they can work their way up, because those people will be like freaking gold at that place. They'll start in drive-through or cooking the fries. Yeah. They'll become the shift lead. They'll become the store manager. People will be like, have you seen this guy? He's incredible.
Here's the thing. I can tell you this right now. My local McDonald's, Burger King, and Taco Bell, amazing. Amazing service, all three places.
Awesome.
So,
did you see them, out of curiosity? Did you see those three doing a lot of the like $14 an hour, $16 an hour?
Oh yeah,
like, a lot of So here's what I imagine.
But everybody around here was.
I think everyone kind of was. So here's what I imagine. Like a lot of those people that wouldn't have done that in the past might have taken them up on it. Some of those people might have gone to be like a banquet manager at a hotel. Some of those people might have moved up to be like a facilities manager at and so you had all these people trying to like as quickly as possible scramble up the ladder as far as they could in whatever industry they were in. And so a lot of those fast food people might have moved to like banquet, hotel, catering, high-end restaurant service, like jobs that they wouldn't have normally been offered. Mm-hmm. And then you've got 14-year-olds that you've got to teach how to like care about all of that.
It's made the people who take their jobs very seriously and do a good job, regardless of what age, stand out even more. Like when I get good service anywhere now, heck, it could be like an exceptionally kind Uber driver. I just notice it now because my bar for what good looks like has gone down so much in the last couple of years that anytime somebody's even doing what they're supposed to do, or a restaurant doesn't have grease and old fries and trash under all the booths, I go, wow, these people are really, really stepping it up.
Perfect example. So we were at the restaurant when I scared Brian Hartline. I walked in knowing we had an appointment. We had to get out. We had about an hour, but I walked into the front desk person and said, hey, can you get us in and out of here for lunch in under 45 minutes? Like, it's okay if you can't, but we gotta go. And she said, absolutely. If you want your best case is to sit at the bar. Perfect. We're happy to sit at the bar. We walk over, we sit for about 2 minutes. The bartender is clearly busy. So I walk back over to her and say, hey, can I just grab a couple menus from you? We'll start picking what we want. So we're ready by the time he gets to us. We go back, we sit about another 5 minutes. Bartender is actually out waiting tables because apparently he's getting pulled away from the bar. So she comes away from the front desk and says, I'm so sorry. He's getting pulled to some tables now. I'll put in your order for you to go ahead and get that started because I know you guys are in a hurry. Like she could have just waited for us to deal with that. And so she's actually starting to like get our drinks and check what we want and answer questions. And by the time she's done all of that, he's back and can actually input our order. But like she had the awareness to go like, oh, they're still not getting help. And it's probably been 10 minutes. And they specifically asked about getting out in 45.
Yeah.
And so like I had no problem walking over and dropping some cash on the front desk like before we left as just for her, like as a thank you. I appreciated the awareness because we were definitely on a time crunch and that was huge.
You know, today we went to I went to the infamous bike shop again today with yet now the fourth bike that I've taken there this spring. And for the same thing that I took the other three in, for a tune-up, a bike that we're not familiar with, and whatnot. Today I was helped by the owner, who I had not met before until this time. All of the staff before had been perfectly nice and perfectly helpful, perfectly fine. They were all very quick. I'm here for a tune-up. Oh, okay. What's your name? Blah, 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 blah. I would tell them, they would ask like a little bit, like, okay, so what's going on with this bike? And I'm like, well, it's new to us. Well, oh yeah, that does sound like the basic tune-up. All right, we'll bring you up. And that was it. This guy like puts the bike up on a stand and starts going through things. And then like walks me to a used bike to give me some price comparisons on what things are gonna cost here and to show me some stuff. And then he's like, and I don't know if like the chain is a little bit rusty, whatever, the front derailleur isn't moving freely. Let me just try a couple things really quick. And so like he got his can of spray grease and started greasing things up and moving things around and whatnot. He's like, okay, the chain's actually going to be okay after the tune up. This thing's going to be fine. So we're not going to have to call you for those things. It is just going to be the regular, the same basic result, but he was being a little bit proactive. So that like if they came across like, oh dude, his chain needs replaced, like they don't have to stop and call and wait for me to call them back. And also gives him an opportunity to kind of show me that like they're going to actually do work on the bike.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're right. That was the difference between owner and everyone else. Everyone else, like I said, had been perfectly professional and good and helpful and fine. I told him that because of how much I appreciated everyone that I've come into contact at his store. But
our 16-year-old is about to start her first job this summer, and she's gotten in at some friends of ours have a small business, and she's going to start there, which is she's already a step ahead because she's not going to have to start at like fast food or something else. She's going to get kind of a different thing. Our conversation with her, like the week or two before she starts, is going to be so all of the stuff that we're saying. I might just say, listen to this episode. Here's how to treat people. Pretend like you're the owner. Pretend like that's your name on the side of the business, and you work as hard doing the mindless tasks that they're going to be having you do or whatever paperwork. You work like that's your name on the side of the building. And I want her, my kids, whatever, to model the stuff that we're talking about, as I'm sure you guys do, right? But I just think that's only going to stand out even more if things keep trending in this direction with this great reshuffle that we're experiencing, because that does feel like a fitting term. That those people will really stand out if you just have some of that old school, be resourceful, be a problem solver. When you can't figure it out, ask for help, but try everything else first. You know, just that sort of the ways that we were raised. Yeah. We've complained about food, not just food service, but like the service industry a lot on this podcast.
We sure have. I wonder if we hear a lot of times our elders today talking about how, like, back in the day,
back in my day,
this is, people treated people better at stores or whatever, blah, blah, blah. The doctor came to your house and he really cared. And the dentist, I was talking to my wife, the dentist was the one who actually did your teeth cleaning and those kinds of things. There was no dental assistant doing the work for this person.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wonder, like, is the societal expectation on how a restaurant is operated, how the front desk at a hotel should go, all of that stuff, are our expectations going to collectively change, and the service is going to drop and not come back, and we're going to tell our grandchildren, instead of before the war, for us everything is going to be about before the pandemic.
Yeah,
be like, before the pandemic, that hotel worker would have just taken that box for you.
What?
Yeah, you wouldn't have had to do anything with it.
Yeah, that's tough, man, because it's like, it's not like less business people are reading books about like Disney and their level of service and care and white glove. It's not like less people are reading that stuff and seeking it. But I do see, it feels like far more often it's in the name of how much profit can we make, how much more efficient. The word efficient gets used. It's like companies that are so data driven that there's no anecdotal evidence, there's no narratives outside of the data, and like sometimes the word efficient is like the be all end all. I know, coming from the robot, that it's like, well, the highest level of efficiency is good. Well, sometimes you need to slow down to solve a problem. Sometimes you need to slow down to like take care of somebody. And a good example being chiropractic offices. And a lot of the narrative there is like, how quickly can you get people out? Well, if you put a chair in the hallway and the next person is waiting right outside the room instead of in your lobby, you can get them in and out of the room faster. Mm-hmm. And if you're a restaurant, if people can pay right at the table by scanning a QR code, you'll flip that table faster and you can get on to the next customer faster. And so I also think there's so many people trying to drive this, like the efficiency is the be all end all of any kind of business, that it's being put well above customer service in most instances. And I think that there's got to be room to like realize that we have to slow down sometimes. Like,
I agree. Yeah, I think it's twofold, right? I think it's both that, and I feel like it's coming from two sides, and I feel like it's coming from two different ideological sides, even, because it's coming from the corporate greed side.
Yeah.
I think from what you had just said, everybody looking for efficiency. I think it's also coming from you're not allowed to fire them just because they're a bad employee side.
Mm.
I think it's also coming from that.
That's interesting.
Because that's also part of this. If there is somebody who has the ability to be better at customer service, their company, Hilton, did not tell this guy, be a jerk to people who come in with trash.
Yeah.
He did that. That was a bad decision on his part.
Right.
It is possible that he's a bad employee. It is possible,
sure,
that he ought to get let go. And that's because that's not an efficiency problem. That is an expectation problem.
Mm. Good points. I may be being a little bit too idealist here, but I am encouraged when I do see places that you would typically consider to be very efficiency based or very quick data driven places who still make it a value. And sure, anybody can put whatever values or leadership principles on posters or t-shirts, but the ones that are obsessed with customers and still care about surprising and delighting customers. You see ad campaigns, and just some of the quick ones that come to mind are the Chick-fil-A little commercials, right? Like little ways that they made people feel seen and cared for, and a little smiley face on a styrofoam cup written in handwritten pen. Like, there are places that are about speed and efficiency and the bottom line that still also know that the long-term play is to surprise and delight customers and to meet their needs. And so where those things do cross paths, and the companies that still maintain that, sure, I believe that a lot are just like, it's all about the bottom line. And what if, yeah, I get it. But I do still see glimpses of that. And I typically tend to support, or at least retell the stories of places that still put a premium on that. And it isn't like Disney White Glove is different than just what little thing can you do to go the extra mile. And it's different, right? Because it's some loyalty programs, you can work your way into those levels of service. You don't get them right out of the gate. But one story I just heard from a colleague, she's got a lot of miles on a specific airline, and she had a tight connection at some big airport. I want to say it was Chicago. And she wasn't going to be able to make the connection. But because of whatever mileage club she was in, she had a personal representative meet her at her arrival gate, usher her to a car service that she didn't have to take a tram or whatever, drove her personally to the next gate to make sure that she didn't know any of that had been arranged. She showed up. They said, Mrs. Whatever, we'll show you to your car. She says, car. Well, we went ahead and we knew you weren't going to. And then they drove her to the next. She makes her flight. And she's like, she goes, why? How? She's like, well, we put a premium on surprising and delighting our customers with unexpected levels of service.
Wow.
And I was just like, that still happens in a world? Now, you could easily say, well, it's because she's in the Million Miler Club or whatever. But like, I think there are business owners and maybe executive teams and little groups inside of companies still trying to do this. It doesn't always see the light of day, or we don't rub elbows with the people that this type of stuff is happening.
Or it's getting fewer and fewer, but it's still there. Like Chick-fil-A, who makes a killing.
Yeah.
And a lot of people like to hate on Chick-fil-A. And I think part of it is jealousy, because they are proof that you can do it this way and still kill it in the marketplace.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's what's cool about what they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, maybe some of us non-high sky mile plebeians will experience that someday. And maybe it'll come in the form of something as simple as, thank you for choosing McDonald's. I'd love to get you a milkshake today. You know, maybe that'll be it. Maybe that's what we'll experience. Strawberry, chocolate, vanilla, pick. We got all the flavors.
Yeah.
Hey, I got free cinnamon twists for having the courtesy to walk in the store with a big order instead of going through the drive-thru. So there's still hope for the.
It could just be little things. It could even be scripted for the corporate managers out there listening. Like, you could just make people fake it. Raising Cane's, they're all giving you some kind of cute rhyme at the drive-thru speaker. That's what they do. Great. And it makes your day. I've been to there's more than one Arby's where I have noticed that at the end of ordering your drive-thru order at the speaker, if you say thank you, they will respond with happy to help. Those words. That tells me that they are told to say happy to help. They had a market research team come out with that is the best phrase to use in this situation.
Maybe that's it. Maybe it's just do one thing really well.
Yeah.
You're not gonna kill it all the time. You might not have the best product. Your chicken sandwich might not be the best. Chick-fil-A's happens to be. But your milkshake machine might sometimes break. But if you can always do one thing well, like you ring the bell if you have good service when you walk out of Arby's and they say, thanks for coming in, whatever, right? Like, just that one little delight moment.
Yeah. Yeah. And then start stacking those. I mean, we could go down the list of the Chick-fil-A things that they have stacked. You know, it started out with just happy employees. And the next thing it's like, yeah, I know the people can order through the speakers, but what if we went to them?
I will say one thing that, because Chick-fil-A is so good at so many things. One thing that I don't know if this actually bothers you about Chick-fil-A, they've got their double drive-throughs everywhere, right?
Yeah.
So they'll have people, those get so far backed up, which is their problem, but like not a bad problem. That they'll have people, the kids run along with the iPads to like type in the order.
Mm-hmm.
And my only beef with that is like I don't know the whole menu, and they're not. There's nothing about any sort of their interaction that even will get them to jump in and go, "Hey, do you maybe want to see the menu on my iPad? Like, do you want to maybe like they could have the menu pulled up on like another tab on their iPad?
Yeah,
like would it help if I showed you some of the items, or because like then I'm stuck there going." How many count of things of their nuggets do they have? What's the salad my wife gets? That's the only thing. And that's such a minor problem for them, but it is legitimately kind of annoying and almost a deterrent sometimes where I'm like, I don't know the whole menu. They're going to run along with me. They're not trying to rush me, but I'm going to feel rushed.
I'm just going to say number 3, even though I don't know what that is.
Right. Yeah.
I'm glad you said that, because people were going to start thinking that we were like plants for Chick-fil-A. They're like, I know it. They're Christians. They're only talking about Chick-fil-A.
Well,
this has been.
I think even the people that just don't like Chick-fil-A because of their politics is even pretty few and far between. There are probably people like, gosh, I don't like Chick-fil-A for that, but man, their chicken's good. I think that group is bigger than the people that are like actually boycotting Chick-fil-A because they are so good at what they do. I think even people realize that like I don't like that, but I think good hot chicken.
I think it's like President Trump in the 2016 election that there's more people saying they're boycotting Chick-fil-A than there are people actually boycotting Chick-fil-A.
Yeah,
probably. Yeah,
but
probably.
People were definitely thinking that we're shills for Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, but I'm totally with you on that, Dillon. I've had that exact same thought. One time I recall, like, I was asked upon them coming up to my window if I would like to see a menu, and they did have one there.
I love that.
Like, why? So if you have one, I'm like, don't make me ask for it.
Yeah.
Either just hand it to me or ask me if I want to see it.
I get that like a laminate card could be greasy and gross and germy, but my thinking is they've already got the iPad, have Safari open on another screen with just the restaurant like menu. Yeah. And like or a PDF of the menu to where they can go, here, let me show you the menu. And they scroll through and just let me know if you want to stop, but I can point out things. That would be the only, because doing what they're doing, I get it, lets them get like 20 cars ahead of their actual menu started before they even pull around and get to the actual menu. They're not even using their menus more some of the time, right? Because they're 20 cars back, they've already taken their order, but it's the only beef I have with them is like, then move your menus back further or let those people
install a couple more.
Have a little disposable menu, a paper one they can hand you, or a trifold or something, a few in their pocket.
Yeah, because most people aren't going to need it.
Yeah,
but
most people
some will. And I do think I'm with you, Dillon. Even though it's silly, it's annoying to have to ask for it.
Yeah.
So most people know exactly what they're going there for. But yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Anyways, it's a minor complaint, right? But it is something that actually annoys me a little bit.
Yeah.
When I go there. So anyways.
Well, this has been a fun one.
Yeah. We beat that horse, didn't we?
Hey, but we didn't talk about what we're streaming. So the people who get tired of us doing that are probably excited. So that's good. We'll save that for next time. Thanks for tuning into this week's episode of From the Middle. We're 3 middle-class guys who just like hanging out and talking to each other about middle things. And thanks to our sponsor, Artius Man, who makes some amazing men's grooming products, especially for your beard. Do check them out at artiusman.com, ARTIUSMAN.com. Use promo code The Middle, all one word, The Middle, as your promo code at checkout to receive an amazing 1/4 off of your total. That's almost 25%. You will be thrilled with the products you get. They will be thrilled that you made the purchase, and we will be thrilled because we get a little tiny kickback for referring you. So check out artiestman.com for all their amazing stuff. I am wearing the beard butter as we speak, as well as some beard oil. So it smells amazing. And we'll catch you guys next Wednesday morning where we talk about whatever's gone in our life between now and then. Double click.
And if you order from artiestman.com, there's a good chance that when your box comes in, it's going to have a nice, kind, handwritten thank you note from a staff member,
which is very cool.
And
I got
good touch.
I just bumped into the owner and he's like, "Have you been by the house?" And I was like, "No." He's like, "Come by. I'd love to give you a tour of like how we make everything and how the whole process works." And he's like, "Anytime. Like seriously. Like what about Thursday?" And I was like, "All right, man." So I'm going to get a VIP tour of the factory.
All right.
So I'm pretty excited about that. Thinking like an owner, this guy is. He's not just an employee. All right. Well, this has been fun. Thanks for tuning in. Catch you guys next week.